All right, so welcome to the Mompreneur Cafe. We hope to bring you some smiles and motivation as we stay in the good fight together as moms in business. I hope you've got your favorite beverage. Uh, oh, my cup is fading out, but this is one of my favorite cups. I'm a collector of mugs, and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. And
Right.
I'm taking a stance to not let circumstances dictate my outcome as a mom in business. The journey is tough, but I found that if you find a tribe, it is worth staying on that journey with those who are on the same mission as you. And I feel we will have great value being a part of this community as we continue to grow. So much excitement coming for 2024. And today I've got Tanya Bartolini, and she has been instrumental in really helping me focus on the business development side of our company. And I know when you go to the website, you will see it's about helping moms stay in business and avoid homelessness. Because my journey of becoming a mom, I met moms who were making serious decisions about whether they should stay in business or stay home with their babies. And it was just the opportunity for me to take the skills that I've learned over the years prior to becoming a mom and really pass this information down. Because when I did have my brick and mortar business, I used free tools to the point where I exhaust them. And people thought I had a really well established business. And I consider tools just like employees. So today, I will let Tanya expound on the importance of business development in order for you to set yourself up so you don't become a slave to your business or what some call a glorified job. So, Tanya, tell us about yourself and what you've got for our community.
Oh my gosh, there's not enough time for all that. But so what I love the segue that you brought in. I'm Tanya Bartolini. I like to say I'm a recovering attorney because I've turned, my practice into business coaching and consulting instead of legal and litigation. But it is so important to plan and have a business that's going to serve you, right? Most people think of their business as their baby, and that is so wrong. It is not your baby, right? You are not here to take care of your business. Your business is here to take care of you, right? So we have to make that mental shift first and foremost before anything else. Because if you think your business is your baby, then what? You're going to get up when it wants you. If it whines, you're going to drop everything and go to it, right? You're always constantly taking care of it and feeding it and changing its diaper and doing everything else. No, it is not your baby, right? Your business is supposed to be your workhorse, right? Your business, if you set it up correctly, is what's going to start feeding you, right? It's going to bring you money. It's going to bring you the life that you want. It's going to bring you the freedom that you want so that you can spend your time with your real babies, right? With your kids, with your family, with other people that you care about, doing charitable work, whatever it is that makes you happy, right? And if your business makes you happy, great. But choosing to work more rather than having to work more is what we strive for in business, right? And
Right, the
so,
opportunity to have the choice. Yeah.
yes. And so, how do we do that? And like you said, it's leveraging employees, whether it's processes and software, right? That's going to take things off your plate, or actually hiring people that are going to take things off your plate so that you're free to do other things. Now, one thing that drives me crazy about coaches is a lot of them are like, oh, let's build that $10 million business. You got to get, you got to go and get it built out. And
I'm just happy if you could just help me get to $5,000 business, especially if it's some leveraged way of getting there. Hey, things are expensive, but 5,000 will cover a couple of bills.
And that's the thing, is you don't have to want to build a multi-million-dollar business to have a good, sustainable, thriving business, right? Everybody has a different goal. If you have the time and you want to put in the effort and you want to do the work to build a business very quickly, then go for it. But if not, that's okay too. If you only want to make,
For me, you mentioned the mental shift.
Yes.
I feel like I had to come to a realization or a point of acceptance. And I feel like the mental acceptance of I can't do it all was the real shift I had to make, because in my imagination, in my mind, especially dealing with the postpartum stuff that people say the word postpartum depression and all this stuff, but I don't think it really gives you I really don't think it does any justice, because if you've never had a baby before, and even if you've had one before, it's definitely a different experience each and every single time, because your body is different, your circumstances and people around you are different. So this postpartum segment that you must try to get through, right? Especially we live in a culture where it's not really an option if two people have to work for the average family. If you have an average income household, like I live in Florida, where things are extremely expensive, especially after the pandemic, right?
Yes.
We have they say it's the next recession, but there's also a lot of folks choosing to leave the workforce as well, but having to have this huge inflation, like I have to work in order to sustain our house. So this mental shift that nobody really, I don't feel like people could really explain it. But like I said, I had the illusion of, hey, my business is working. But what I didn't have prior to meeting you and being on the Mompreneur directory, well, I should say Mompreneur source, on our directory, I get to have lots of conversations with moms, and they've got a substantial income coming in, but guess what? They do not have that business development back end laid out. It's kind of like just said this, like luck has been getting them by. They get the customers, and the thing that breaks my heart is when they want to get to the next level or launch, maybe family members could help them with some funds initially to launch the business, but then some marketing company or someone swoops in and says, well, you need SEO, you need this and you need that, and here's the kicker, right? If you had the business plan so you can develop your business, I'm sure you would have had some advisors on there, or a community like this, right? We could stand in the interim until you find your team, right? You would have known that, wait a minute, if my price point is this much and my ROI is this much, you're not going to have some expert person coming in and telling you what you need. You can say, wait a minute, let me check with my team. Let me get back to you. And you can have confidence making these decisions too, because I think the lack of confidence in conjunction with the challenges of dealing with your emotions, right? It takes a toll on us, especially when we don't have those advisors. So if you could speak to that part of the business development, I know I kind of went on there, but you kind of poke me. I was like, yeah.
So, well, you brought up a great point is there is so much out there and there are so many vendors and there's so much information, and we live in this era of FOMO. We're always afraid of missing out on something or other, right? And most business owners do not have a business plan. We just start a business. We do what we need to do. We make money. We don't make money. We try this. We try that. Right. And that's why over 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, because we're just all over the place all the time. And we rely on marketers and other vendors and people to tell us what we need and what we don't need and what's going to work. And meanwhile, we don't have a clear vision of what it is that we're building. Right. And so having a business plan is so important. I mean, how do you know where you're going if you don't have a plan, right? You don't just get in your car and start driving unless you just want to go drive around. But if you have a place to be,
like, hey, where are you going? I don't know.
And I've done that before. Sometimes I just need to go take a drive and like air my mind out, right? And not think. Fine. But if I need groceries, right? I don't just get in my car and just kind of drive around aimlessly. I say, okay, I want to go to the grocery store and I know which one and I know my way, how to get there. And it's the most efficient. And if I have other stops to make, I will say, okay, I need to go to the laundromat. I need to go to the grocery store. I need to go here. And I plan it out before I leave. Right. And most moms are really good at that because we have so many things that we have to juggle that we plan things. But when it comes to our business, we forget all that. Why?
The interruptions, planning for the interruptions, the unexpected, especially if you have young kids, it's not a guarantee because you've got them in a daycare. Because if they get sick, here comes the curveball.
Yes, but if you have a business plan, if you have year-end goals, if you have a plan on how to reach your year-end goal, right? If you know how to measure all of these things that are happening, now you're more focused. Now you know what you want, where you're going, and when you have all those other things coming at you, they're not going to distract you because they don't fit into your plan. So you know what? If you don't fit in, I'm not going to waste my time. But if you don't have a plan, then you don't know what fits in and what doesn't and what's going to get you where you're going, right? So that's one of the biggest things that I always tell people. You have to have a business plan. It doesn't have to be 100% correct, and it doesn't have to be laminated and, has everything in it that's going to work the way it's going to work. No, it's going to ever change. It's always changing. You go back, you tweak it. Things happen, like you said, you tweak it again, but at least it's there and it's a roadmap to help you get to where you need to go. And it doesn't matter what your goal is. Your goal can be, like you said, $5,000. At the end of the year, your goal can be $1 million, 10 million, whatever it is. That's your goal. And that's what you need to focus on, right? And everybody is different. And if you can only work a few hours a day, then fine. Make a plan that allows you to only work that few hours a day so that you can get to where you need to go.
Well, I'm big on working against the clock. I stopped trying to let my willpower determine or dictate how I move. I just go against the clock and I break my tasks down into segments. I'm actually writing a book on this too. And I'm breaking my tasks down because I've been following a particular strategy and it has worked. And I'm not multitasking. I've done a lot of research on multitasking. And the real reason you should, even during a webinar, you should have something in your ear as if you're trying to get good audio, which is what I'm using my microphone here. And I hope it sounds great.
Yeah.
But multitasking does not help you to be more efficient and focused, because they talked about like your cognitive ability to create things and use your imagination. So I encourage all the moms listening here to really reach out to us, because I feel like we can step in until you find your team. Even if we're not the one for you, we are very honest. And part of that is life experience, and we know what it's like to be taken for a ride. If I could say I had one regret, I did hire a consulting company when I launched my brick and mortar business back in about 2012. I think I left the hospital and I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I want to make the rules. And I thought I was going to be making all of my own money and time. I hired the consulting company and we did an assessment. I think for about the first 3 sessions we met, we did assessments. And I walked away with a stack of papers from all these assessments, right down from all the tasks that needed to be done. And they said, listen, just stick with it. If you stick with it and stick with us, when we're done, your business you're gonna have a nice system. And at the time, I just was impatient. I'm like, look, I'm paying you, right? Because this is when it comes to deciding if it's more valuable to hire a coach or a consultant, or should I use that for marketing, right? Which one should I do first, marketing or consulting, right? And at the time, I thought these people were crazy. It was a couple team, right? And my husband's like, y'all doing paperwork again? When are we gonna start like seeing some return on investment? And we were like 3 weeks in, and all I got so far is a stack of papers and no staff yet, right? But it's funny because as I look back on some of these documents, as I find them, I'm like, if I was just a little bit patient, if I was surrounded by people who had the right mindset. I was new to being an entrepreneur, especially for a brick and mortar business. I've tried online stuff for many years, but brick and mortar it's a whole other animal, I would say, because if you don't show up to open the door and you're the only one, right, or your staff not reliable, you got to find a way to like click your heels and teleport your way to the front door and open up for the customer. So it was, I'm telling you, man, if I could go back in time, and again, this is, man, I'm probably going to date myself here, but I was late 20s, and I obviously didn't have any kids now because my kids are babies now. But, it was like the impatience and the mindset of thinking, I got this. What do these people know? Why am I spending all this money and it's been this much time and I have not seen any return on my investment? So Tanya, if you want to speak to that.
Well, so that is tough because whatever you do in business, you have to have a return on investment, right? However, different things have different timing, right? Different things have a different amount of the return on your investment. And you have to learn to measure what the ROI is, or you have to learn what it is that you have to measure, right? So the only thing I can think of to give an example of this is like a marketing company. And they're like, oh, we got like 12,000 views. We got, 20,000 views. And you're like, oh, great. But there are no clients, right? I don't care how many views I got, right? That is not something that I care about measuring, because is it 20,000 views of people that are not my clients?
Well, sometimes they say, well, you got this many calls as well.
But okay, so as a business attorney, when I had my own law firm, if I got a call that was looking for a criminal attorney, is that really a call? No, it's a waste of my time. Right? I am not a criminal attorney. I cannot service them. So my marketing company was not doing what they were supposed to do because they were attracting the wrong people. Right? So those are a lot of things that you have to measure, and most people don't know. And even companies that have been in business for a long time don't always necessarily know what are those things that you need to measure. What are those things that actually matter? Right? So having a good business coach, because I will tell you, like you, I hired a lot of coaches and coaching companies, and I've had really good experiences with some, and I've had some not so good experiences with others. Okay. So knowing who to hire and who to work with is also a big part of it. But if you don't have a business plan, then you don't know what you need.
So I would say, go ahead, you go.
Yeah, the first step is to write a business plan. What's your vision for your company? How do you want it to run? How much money do you want to make, and how are you going to make it? Sometimes you actually have to work a lot harder at the beginning in order to be able to work less later on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't hire someone because if you want to make a certain amount of money to cover your bills and you're only attracting so many clients, you have to figure out, how am I going to get the money in first before you can hire someone, right? But that's where a good business coach comes in and can help you, because the return on investment with having a good consultant or a good mentor or someone who's been there, done that, not just your friend, not just your family or other people. If those people have not gone through what you want to go through, they don't know how to advise you. Right? And they're probably going to talk you out of doing whatever it is because of fear. But
right, I always say that the way to measure if your friend or mentor that's giving you all this free advice, because why do you want to waste up money on a coach, right?
Yeah.
If they're telling you everything you want to hear, your flag should go up, because it should be a combination of a good job, keeping you motivated, and also, hey, you may want to consider XYZ, because we all have blind spots, and that's where a good consultant comes in, or a business coach. Because what I found with hiring coaches, I remember the first time I really hired, aside from the consulting company, when I really started to go into the space of like working from home online after I let the office go. I remember I hired a coach, and she's like, yeah, it's $2,500 for 3 sessions. I was like, huh? I'm like, and what like, well, how are we spreading this 3 sessions out? She's like, yeah, you don't get to call me, but you could send me an email, and then when we get on our session, it's gonna last us 3 weeks. We'll discuss it. And I'm like, okay, I don't like this, but it came by way of a really good, she was a mentor of mine, but she wouldn't coach me for some reason, right? And again, I was kind of looking for a free coach friend type thing, and she was doing a lot of great things online, right? And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it was funny, this coach was telling me a lot of things I did not want to hear. As a matter of fact, we had some friendly words. We ended cordially, right? But my income, man, if I tell you I spent $2,500, I think I made an extra $30,000 or $40,000 that year, because she was, it was this like friction, but it was a combination of like calling me out on some like blind spots that I really couldn't see in business, because I was trying to stay in my comfort zone too much. And she was like, well, if again, the business plan or the plan, whatever, is one page or whatever, but here's your GPS, here's where you're trying to go. Don't waste your time going that way. This is where you need to go. But I wanna, and this is great, but so and so is over there doing it right. And she was just like, well, you hired me for a reason. You want to waste your money? Or I mean, she said, if you don't want to do what I suggest, then why don't we just not have our last session? And I'm like, man, I paid you for my what I spent my money, right? And I kid you not, she introduced me to some free tools, which is why I'm a big fan of the tools, right? Because you can use simple tools, man, and take your business to the next level. And again, I had a certain comfort level at that time because I didn't have as much responsibility. I had no kids. So I was just like, as long as I have some money to do some stuff for my church and maybe to help some friends or family, I won't call names because you're probably watching this. But it was like, we find our reasons. And one thing I like working with you, Tanya, because you always say, if you're trying to be a billionaire, I got you. If you're trying to be like a mom first and you're trying to make ends meet and maybe set up your college funds and just not say be comfortable, but just have enough to be a good steward of that. That's one thing I appreciate, the honesty and working with you, because it wasn't this just drive to try to compete with society and get crazy with it. So
I hate that. I hate that. Because everybody, you know what? Society puts so much pressure on us for no reason, right? For no reason at all. Because I am not going to work my butt off to make all this money so that I can be okay in society's eyes and then lose my connection with my kids and be miserable. That's not what I want. I don't care what society says is successful. To me, personally, my success is having kids who are loving, who are smart, who I get to spend time with and have dinner with and put them to bed. That's my success, right? Everybody is different. And so I think good coaches and good mentors are not the ones who say, hey, you have to do it my way. It's the ones who say, hey, what do you want? And let me see if I can support you get that. Right? Because what I want may or may not make you happy. Right? And life is too short not to be happy and to try to do all the things that everybody else wants. And at the end of the day, they're not the ones living with it. You are. Right?
I forgot how the saying goes. One of my mentors told, I have so many mentors along the way now, being in business for quite some time. But sometimes the resistance is within your own house, and you have to find that you have to find people outside of your personal families and friends, because you can't look like, not everyone could be everything, right? And I had to make sure I wasn't like expecting like my little sister or my mom or my husband or something to fill all these voids, because I have my emotional day at work or whatever, right? But one of them said, hey, Glo, if you don't have a plan for your life, you're going to wait. Everyone has a plan for you, and if you don't have a plan for yourself, you're gonna find that you're fitting in to everybody else's plan. And one day you're gonna wake up and be like, why am I feel like I'm being pulled in all these directions, but what I really want is I'm not seeing it fulfilled in my life, right? And then a financial advisor told me, it's like, if the only money you'll have in the future is the one you teleport there today. So with that being said, I take the development side of the business more serious than I take the marketing, because I know if I don't lay a good foundation, the business won't exist, right? If I don't have mentors and coaches, it's not going to be there. This ship ain't going to sail. So I tell you guys, we're here for you. Oh, you hear me keep saying that. We're here, man.
So let me just tell you, there's research that says if you have an accountability partner like a true accountability partner, your chances of success rise by 95%.
Wow.
Yes. And when you talk about an accountability partner, like you said, it's not necessarily your spouse or your family or your friends, because if you look at the human physiology, right, and you look at the human brain, it is there to protect us, right? So anything that's outside of your comfort zone, it's like, no, 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 I don't know what's going to happen. Don't go there. Right. And so anytime you talk to your friends or your family, they have the same wiring, right? It's let's protect ourselves. We have this fear of the unknown, because if we don't know what's going to happen, then it could be dangerous, right? And so our brains are made that way. It's always trying to protect us. And it's always trying to protect us from the unknown as much as real danger. So when you talk to your family or your spouse or your friend who's never done what you want to do, their initial reaction is going to be to stop you from doing it, because they're trying to protect you, right? Their brain is telling them, oh no, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't do that, right? And your brain is doing the same. So you end up not succeeding because you're not trying. And we have this fear of failure for some reason. I don't understand where this came from. Like, as you grow up a little bit, and all of a sudden you get this fear of failure, when failure is what helps you learn. Failure is what propels you to success. You know, and so you need to always go to people who've already done what you want to do and ask them for advice, right? How did you do it? What are the lessons that you learned? Because they're the ones who are going to help you do it. Whereas someone who hasn't done it is more likely to stop you from trying. Not because they don't want you to succeed, not because they don't love you, not because of any malice or ill feelings, but just because that's how human brains are wired, right? It's that whole protection. You know, we're in the 21st century and our brains are still from, you know, the first human, like,
Right.
with bears.
Well, you know, I learned so, you know, I have so many, I mean, and forgive me if I just sound like I'm just quoting stuff from books, because
I love it.
I wish I had learned to love reading early on in my life. The stuff I read in books, priceless. I mean, like two things. There's nothing new under the sun. And I used to think like, oh my gosh, I got this amazing idea, right? And I'll go and I'll start building out a website and running this and that campaign. And then I'll look and I'll see, oh my gosh, someone else is doing that. But I said that to say, to make this one here the main point. Success leaves clues. And what I started to do was follow mentors. I always used to think mentors had to be like someone I could physically touch, see, and feel and call. No, your mentor is that person who aligns with your divine purpose. Okay, because I always say I have my life work and then I have my divine purpose, like what I'm here on earth to do. So there is only one person who could stop me from doing what I've identified I came here on earth to do. And success leaves clues, and there's nothing new under the sun. Okay. So I hope some of you ladies will get some newfound courage when you sit down to write your business plan, and call us to, I mean, Tanya, I'm going to post your link to book an appointment. Tanya is excellent. She's one of the most gifted people who will actually get on the phone with you, right? So I'm going to post a link so you guys could get in touch. And again, I'm always there as well. Send me an email. But I hope you find courage to not feel like, okay, I got this vision in my head. And if something's on your heart, is a reason why it's on your heart. And when you feel like you're getting pulled away and then this thing keeps showing up, you know, someone's like, go back into, I used to write these little notes and I'll find them all over the place. And I'll be going through cleaning up and I'll find a note. I started scanning them in. And some of the stuff I wrote, I was like, whoa, whoa. Even years later, whoa. And then one thing that really blew my top, I wrote a letter to God at some retreat I went to. And you're supposed to write the letter, and then a year later, on the New Year's of the following year, read the letter back. I'm like, whoa! I mean, it was just a lot of whoaing going on. A good kind of whoaing. But it's interesting. And like I said, if something's on your heart, find people who could draw that vision out. Find people like Tanya who's going to be sincere and upfront with you. You know, again, I'm always there.
Whoa, yes.
I feel like I'm an advocate.
But you and I have the same belief when it comes to that, right? I mean, I think that's why we get along so well, because we align and we believe in being true to yourself, being true to your heart, following your intuition and what aligns with you, and not having to be someone else. You know, there's a difference between having to do something that's a little uncomfortable and growing, and then doing something that's completely unaligned with you.
Yeah, there is definitely a difference. Because even when I had the wellness office and I was trying to, I really wanted to grow the business too. I had a big point to prove to my husband, right? Like, I'm a business owner now, man. I have staff and all. And you know, it was something about that business model, right? And then one of the popular franchises down here in Florida, they invited us to a seminar, and they said, well, this is how this business work. And I was looking at my husband, I was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna swallow up little mom and pop businesses like me. And it had nothing to do with the service, right? It was all like mostly product oriented and the way their marketing was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna survive in this business, because one, I didn't have the resources to hire staff to the point to compete with this entity. And two, my gift was more in the branding, consulting, and marketing side, like helping people see the vision and bring the vision to fruition. And once I recognized that, and I have to attribute a lot of that to my husband, because he has a way of looking at things very different, right? I get all excited and I make a decision, and he's the one, he's very observant, right? And he stands back and he could just give me like the straight line to the goal. And I'm like, man, over time I'm learning to say, man, thank you for that. But it's really true. You can't, if something's on your heart, you really have to find people to help you bring that out and start to develop some boldness, because that's what's going to help you become resilient over time, because there's always going to be opposition, especially as moms. It's either going to be the kids or parents or aging or accidents.
Yep.
Man, there's always something.
Always.
But I can smile.
Well, and this is one thing I want all moms to really take to heart. Give yourself grace.
Yes.
Right? People underestimate the fact that you have grown a human being. I mean, seriously, right? Like, that takes so much energy, and it takes so much out of you. And it's not, oh, but I've been sitting all day. No, you're growing a baby, right? You're growing a human being. Every single cell in your body is dedicated to growing another human being. How do you expect to do other things?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not only are we expected to do a few other things, we're expected to still be normal and do all the things
and respond normal
before being pregnant, before having babies. No, it doesn't work that way, right? It just does not work that way. Yes, we're super women. We are. but there's even a limit to that, right? So give yourself grace. It's okay. We always look at our kids and we're like, well, every kid grows at their own pace, right? Some kids read early, some kids walk early, some kids walk late. It means nothing other than what it is, right? It's not an indication of how smart or how successful they're going to be or anything like that. So why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to meet certain expectations and goals that are just going to kill us? Right? We have to learn to be. We have to learn to push ourselves out of our comfort zone to grow, but in a way that's conducive to success and happiness, not so much pressure and stress and cortisol and pulling our bodies in overwhelm, right?
Yes.
So I think I need to take that advice too.
Yes, right. And this is why we have this community to remind each other to take that advice, because Tanya, you said some things today, and just to wrap up and respect for everyone's time, just the FOMO thing, the fear of missing out. It's definitely something we should be aware of, and just know that we are right where we supposed to be. If we start to live confidently, gratitude every day, and celebrate just the gift of making it through the day, and closing, like I said, we don't have to have that fear of missing out. And we can make that mental shift into becoming resilient moms that successfully run our business, because we have a business plan, we have team and support. So if you have any final words, Tanya, I will end it there.
No, one final thing. Come talk to us. Come meet us at the Mompreneur Cafe, and let's all support each other and brainstorm and help each other build a better society and community.
Yes. For our future.
Yes.
Cheers. Bring your favorite beverage too and your favorite mug.
Cheers.
Okay. Bye for now.